Well, welcome to the Dream Labs Live with Dr. Contrast here. I just thought take a little moment here to introduce the subject matter. Just titled this stream today, Just Sketches. I think every now and then it's just good to go back into the basic little form studies and just generate some very quick sketches, very lucid, no real formula in mind, just going through some search systems on contrasting lights and darks, and just developing simple shapes. So I'm just going to go through a series of sketches here. We'll work with on tone paper, on Canson paper, this indigo blue, and a Copic marker and some Prussian colored pencil. Just got to get things started. I'm just going to go through some real quick generation sketches here, and sometimes it's really fun to work with a marker sometimes in reverse. So you just got to go through the process of getting things started here. So let's just kind of generate some things here, and just nice and loosely kind of sketch through it. See what happens here as we go through the process of just nice and loose, nice, easy sketches. Come back in and add a little bit of tone to it. Let's come back in through here. A little bit of surface work in this guy. Tone in the recess. A little asymmetry here. Slowly build it up with a little bit of marker. Come back with a little bit of drop shadow in this thing. Little subtle details. More brown in this thing. That's it, and that's it. Let's go with that. There's a shadow drop on it. Hey, how you doing there, Shadow? Good to have you on board here, Chief. Just doing some very simple little studies here. Let's come back and add a little bit of highlight in this thing and see if we can kind of get just a little bit of tone and a little bit of texture in these guys. Come back again. Let's do a little sketches here from the marker. I'm just doing some little form studies here, Shadow. And just take a little bit of a break to go back and just do some basic little sketches and just warm up stuff and just sketches to kind of go back into the basics of getting some things established and the like, and just making just some little concept sketches here with some marker here. A little bit of tone work down first. Very abstract work here, just a little bit of highlight on top of this thing, just keeping it nice and minimal. Just a little bit of blush to it, and that's it. Come back in on this with a bit of pencil. And just a little bit of change of pace back here. just surfaces. Nothing really in mind here, just some form studies here. Hey, how you doing, Jeff? I said, hey, good deal. Hey, it's good to see you. Get on board, Jeff. Thanks very much for joining us here today, Doctor. Just going through it, just looking at just some very methodical looking sketches here, just to kind of put it all together. Let's go back in here and just get this down here. Let's go back again here. Let's go back here and just look at some things here. Real simple, just really fast little gesture with a marker. Super, just kind of prick that up just a bit here. A little bit of ground shadow to ground it. Come back a little bit more highlight. Just to draw back in. And a little bit of drop shadow here. Just kind of ground this guy a bit. And just a series of nice little simple volume studies here. Hey, welcome, Mike. Hey, good to have you on board there, Jeff. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. I know we have a very busy schedule. So let me just go back and look at some things here. Let's kind of rotate this beauty back in here. Let's see. A little bit of tone in this guy. Probably means I rotate the pad just a bit. And add a little bit of highlight to this. We'll just keep rolling here. And again, just looking at how to set, just shut up. Really, just sketching today. Yeah, it's lessons in here. Well, not really, Shad. I think what I'm really looking at here is just kind of pull back a little bit and kind of refresh myself on just some shape and surface work. Nothing really in terms of teaching here, in terms of maybe working with a simple thing like a marker and a pencil, keeping things nice and simple and light, not overkilling the surfaces, or just working through some process of, if there's anything to be learned at all, it's just keep things simple and how to generate certain shapes with these guys. and not worry about what the outcome is going to do and what the process might look like here. So let's just kind of go back and let's reverse it just a bit here. Get a little bit of sketches here with a pencil. Come back in, and we'll just kind of drop this off just a bit here. And we'll come back in. A bit of a secondary shape. Again, another secondary shape here. Just kind of roll that in. Again, notice just really lucid sketches. Nothing really kind of focusing in on anything really severely here. Just want to look at just highlight where the light source is coming from, scattered across the shape itself. Come back in here again. And just drop in some tone. Let's see what this guy does. Turn it around just for a moment here, pardon me. Let's do a little contour in this thing. See how simple that is? And yet look at how much impact you get out of just being really, really generous with, again, the line study and so forth. Just keeping the form so they read just a bit here. Nothing really outstanding in terms of being earth shattering, but at the same time, just nice and, let me sharpen the stick a bit here. Really quick, not a lot of attention to detail, very much empathic in terms of just having a little bit of power behind the sketch itself and getting the thing to read really nicely, just take it off the page. Again, look how simple that is, but yet the volume is there, and I think that's the thing I'm really looking at here, just to kind of go back and refresh myself based on the last few days here. And by the way, too, I think this is going to be helpful for me. I'm going to go back into that Manticore dropship system shadow. It's really going to be interesting to take some of the same theory here and bring it right back into that very overpowering looking form we're dealing with here. So let me just put a bit of shadow in this guy here. And we're just going to walk through them. Hey, Jeff, if you're still there, what do you think? Is this making sense? Just nice and easy. Let's put a little more impact in this guy here. A little more shadow underneath this side here. Just get that in place. A little bit of that in place. A little bit more of a dart. Some shadow underneath there. And then into that corner. And there we are. A little more impact. There she is right there. Not bad. I mean, just a series of what ifs. Everything from round shapes to rectangular forms. There's a lot of shape down here. Just looking at what takes place. And let's go back the other way here. And then now let's say it's going to go back in through this. And we'll look at this guy. And go the other way here. Oh, sorry me. Vargas, you bet some days, shoulder, brain, and arm, and ribot. Great fundamental. Yeah, thanks very much. Just nice and easy. Coming back in, nice and simple. Let's get these forms to read. Nothing really pressuresome here, just really romantic looking forms. Just gonna get this down here just a bit. Let's get this into, now let's put a little bit of a contour change in this thing so we can get some drama. Let's do this. Let's take that, add a little bit of impact in this thing. That. Let's come back and pick a little more detail. Pardon me, I just knocked this marker down a bit here, and Again, just really fast little studies here, gang. There you go. It's a series of just interesting little shape studies here, gang. Just looking at form, generating ideas, laying down a contour, not being concerned about whether it's going to be fully just again, graphically speaking, nice stuff to be done. Let's just do this here. Let's sketch with the marker here. Let's get a look at this guy here. Oop, let's go the other way. More contour in this thing, more beef. And again, look how simple that came together, just with high contrast in terms of letting the paper come through and seeing what surfaces can be handled by just letting the paper breathe a little bit, and then off you go. So let's put a little bit of hot spot in here. Doesn't take much. And last but not least, a bit of shadow. How simple that is, gang. There we are. There's a page of just really rapid little sketches here that kind of get the job done, hopefully. It's interesting how it all begins to interact with one system into another. And again, looking at, I think the key, let's look just for a moment here, to analyze this page, what's really taking place here. Notice what I'm allowing is the paper to come through and to really become part of the expression of the sketch. Oftentimes we want to fill it all in. A lot of times that can really become really pathetic in terms of destroying the overall freshness of a drawing. And I'm a big believer in letting the paper do the work of it all. As I've said before in some earlier streams, it's a very interesting form that any good sketch or any good thumbnail study such as these should really incorporate three basic principles. Number one, 50% paper. Let the paper come through. 25% sketch and 25% media. That's how very simple they are. And I think that's what gets the point across. And putting some of these elements into good time and into good rationale and doing what we need to do with these form studies. Again, they are in a sense form studies, but they're just sketches. And I think that's the idea. To me, a sketch is really powerful because it's an expression of a real fast impact in the mind, what we see, how we begin to translate what we see. If this is helpful, what do you think, Jeff? Is this making sense for you here in Shadow? Any questions at all so far? Yeah, just sketching. I think that's a really good way to put it, Shadow. Just sketching to get ideas down and not be fearful of putting down process and the like, and to see what it does for us. So let me just do this for a second. So there's page one. Just again, very, very simple set of circumstances to put it all together. And again, so interesting from the point of view of really doing some neat stuff. It's just so elementary. I think oftentimes we just kind of ignore the fact that a good drawing or a good sketch has a lot of energy to it, and it really tells a story as well. How you begin to see certain things, and how you begin to translate the physical world that you see. So let's move along here. Go to the second page. Let's get rid of these guys. Put them up to one side and we'll review in a moment here where we are. And let's go back in again and just look at some things here much more empathically. Again, just scribble in some certain shapes and work through them. Just gestures. Nothing more, nothing less. Sometimes it's as simple as just one or two passes to get the shape to read well here. And it can be as simple as that. And into that. And again. With one or two shape forms or studies here. We've almost got this guy reading. There it is. So we keep that in between. Look how we're just developing where the light source is coming from. Above and below. And it'll come back in on top here. A little bit of this. And a little bit of that. And in between, maybe there's a little contour underneath this guy to kind of give it some body. So you keep bringing them nice and simple. And let the shadow tell the story. And again, look how simple that is, but it just kind of sits there and nobody does the job for it. Somebody's showing, okay, what do you think here, guys? Is this helping along here? To kind of guide us way along the pathway here. Let's just go back in and do another couple little thumbnail studies here. Oops, let me get the right marker. I'm be in good shape. Hey, hi, Chaired. How are you? Hey, Zandola, nice to see you. Thanks very much for joining the course here. Hey, it's good to see you on board again, Zandola. How's everything in your new look? Down in the Carolinas. Congratulations to you and the Horton for getting some nice, a new residence, I understand, and hope all is well with you and Horton, and expecting a new child, I'm sure, and hope that's going to work out well for you guys. Super. That's really cool. Let's go back in again. This basic platform. Slide it off. Contour it just a bit. Just sketches. Put a bit of tone in here. Again, simple. On the highlight of the core. Notice how we're building that shape right up out of here. Let's get a little bit of change of pace here. Let's go back and get this side down here. Zendo, we miss watching you. We've got internet this week. Hey, all right. Good to have you on board again. Thanks so much, Zandola. Hope all is well with you in Horton. Please pass along my best to everybody down there. Really great to have you on board again here. Just kind of here, there, going through some just sketches here today. Zandola, sometimes it's nice to just kind of take a break from all the other stuff we're dealing with and just get nice and simple with this stuff. Just kind of put a little bit of contour in this guy. Just breaking down shape. Very often, letting it all fly here. Just gonna take this guy, lay down a little bit of a shadow on this thing. Come underneath this. And I think the real lesson, if there's anything here to be learned today, especially from my point of view, is how to let the paper kind of come through and really work. Freestyle is a great way to open the mind. But yeah, I agree, Zandola. I think that's the real trick. I mean, not being so caught up in the details, but just getting some really interesting surface work down here. Just got to do a little bit of sketch on top of this guy. A little more depth in this thing. There it is. And just some shadow here. Just to separate just a bit. A little bit of recess here. Let's put a little bit of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. Just a little bit of hot spot in there. That's just going to get a little more shape. Again, nothing really critical here in terms of being formal. Add a little bit of highlight. Look how simple this is. And there it is. I mean, look how simple that came out. Just very, very easy. Just really, that just shows. It's just amazing how it all comes together again. Just again, looking at really good thumbnail studies and how to deal with some of the materials we're doing. Let's go back into a very simple little, this is always a rough one. Just an elevation. Form, just looking at form. Nothing really earth-shattering here, gang. Let's put a little bit of contour in this thing, a bit of drop shadow. A hot spot. Just kind of read a little bit more into the base, and then just for what it's worth, just put a little bit of blocking behind this guy to kind of give a little bit of presence to it. Let's see what happens here. Doesn't take much. I mean, look at that. That's just a very simple little shape study, but at the same time, hopefully has some real strength behind it. So let's see, Zendel, did you put up in your office? Maybe you could see it on your stream. Lots of shows. That came out amazing. Hey, you missed a bunch of great work, Doc. Manticore, yeah. Got to bring that up to speed. That'd be kind of nice for him to see. Shadow, that's cool. So let's go back and do a couple more sketches here with this stuff. Pardon me just a moment. There we go. Get this guy back to speed here. All right, let's go here. Looking at forms. Drawing through a little bit here. Let's put a little bit of stain in this thing. Let's knock this side out just a bit. Notice how quickly I'm working with this marker as well. Not spending a lot of time, just kind of staining it in, letting the process work for me here. 1 or 2 passes, get that thing to drop out, a little bit of highlight on that secondary line there, at that kind of the radius. And there we are, pretty interesting. There she is, just interesting, just form. Just kind of building up off the form here, the shape rather. Now let's go back and add a little bit of highlight. I'm going to turn it upside down. A little line thrust in this guy. Hey, how you doing, Chip? How are you, man? It's good to have you on board. Thanks, Chip, for joining us here. Interesting to have you on board again. This is just a nice series of just what I'm trying to do is just get a feel now for just basic thumbnail sketches. I went back to just basic drawing for my benefit. Hey, Tier 1 Chip 7 gift. Hey, thanks very much. Nice, thanks, Zendel. I really appreciate that. Very, very kind of you to do so. But to bring you up to speed here, Chip, just going through just took a bit of a break from some of the Manticore stuff and just really come back in, just do some basic drawing for my own benefit here. Just kind of warm up a little bit and get back to some volumetric stuff and some things that are hopefully going to make a difference in the whole process. Putting together a nice little form study in there. That's got a little thing there. Let's get a little bit of one of these, 2 or 3 breathers on the body side. They're just adding little things that kind of make the surfaces sing for us here, and maybe a little bit of section work. And at the same time, let's roll this over, roll that over. And there's a point of reference in there. And again, very domed, like just nice and easy. Not a lot of just where you want to get really critically lucid with this stuff and not get all caught up. Just interesting. Camera on the doc himself. Oh no, is that going to happen really? That's going to be that'll be the downfall of the Roman Empire. That's how old I am. Very interesting stuff there, guys. So thanks a lot. Let's go back and do a couple more little thumbnail sketches here, and look at this is again. I'm working here very simply today with a very simple palette. Number 1, Canson paper with indigo blue, and a Copic marker set 7, 8, and 9 in the black, and some Prismacolor pencils. That's all I'm looking at here, just to kind of get really interesting in terms of getting surfaces to work here. But hey, Chip, thanks for joining us here. I'll bring up the speed in a moment, and we'll just go through a couple of sketches and go back to a bit of a review here. So let's go back in one more time. Just fading it down just a bit here, getting it prepped up. Notice how fluid I am working with this marker as well. I'm not spending a lot of time just trying to really get overly anxious with it, or really delicate with it. Remember, very, very bold and very assertive with it, and again, very quick as well. So I think that's the real thing. That's it's a degree. Zendolo, the stream has come so far. I'm excited to see what time it's. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Thank you, Zendolo. I think it's going to be interesting too. We've come a long way with this process. I think we're going to keep up some really good momentum here. Thanks to people like yourself tuning in and joining us. It's really been helpful, very helpful. So I'm going to go back and just kind of loosen up a little bit here, just a little shadow underneath this guy. Again, notice really lucid, not worried about a lot of detail. I think that's the thing I really want to stress. A good sketch should have a lot of empathy to it, a lot of emotion. Again, you can almost begin to see these surfaces come off the wall now in terms of really reading and then making sense. So I think that's the fun part about this whole idea about just basic sketches. I come in with a little secondary line for highlight, tie that into that return here. Again, notice how that all is starting to come together. I hope this is making sense, gang. What do you think out there? Coming along all right? I mean, the drama of Canson or tone paper has always been unique. It's a great medium because it's very rarely seen. At the same time, it's such a powerful process because it doesn't take an awful lot of impact to get there. It's just really interesting how, with very little effort, you get a lot of impact. And let's kind of put a little bit of highlight in it and see what we come up with here. Light source side, across the highlight, a little bit of that into it, hot spot here, take it back. I mean, look how very simple that is. Let's put a little bit of bridge in here too as well. A bit of reflected light along that area, up along the center line, much real sketchy. Again, look at that, how really direct that is. Let's put a bit of shadow in this guy too, so we can see where we are. There we are. All right, let me see that. Let's see what that's doing. Oh, I'll just put a bit of shadow in it. Just a little bit of overhang in this guy. Let's put a little more shadow in this. There it is. There we go. What do you think, gang? Coming along all right? What do you think so far? Just wait, holding a little bit of feedback here and what we're generating. Are these exercises making sense? I mean, they're just form studies, they're just sketches, but at the same time, I think trying to really get some interesting things putting together here, looking at how to deal with certain forms, cylindrical shapes, flat surfaces, compound forms, radii, dome surfaces, and again, very organic and very sheer. And let's go back to the first page I generated here to bring up the speed. This is where I started, just doing a series of real rapid little thumbnail sketches. Again, working with a very simple formula here. Canson indigo blue paper, and working with a Copic set of 7, 8, 9, and a black marker, and just sketching with a marker and coming back with a little bit of Prismacolor pencil to add some highlight, and just again exploring shape. And I think one of the reasons I did so today is because I was really getting a little bit concerned about the fact these forms are easier. Thank you very much. That's the intent, Chip, to keep them simple, easy to read, and extremely powerful in terms of just enough content. And again, I don't know if you heard me state this or not, but over the course of time, a lot of my streams have brought up the fact that I think is extremely critical that any good sketch, especially things of this format, anything that's very deliverable in terms of just ideation studies or quick, rapid sketches, and there's a certain threefold formula that has to be addressed all the time. Number one, 50% paper. Number two, 25% sketch. And number three, 25% media. Notice a lot of paper coming through in these processes, and there's not an awful lot of things just moving through in terms of being filled in or choking things off as far as I'm letting the paper do the work for me and addressing the situation as it comes along. So interesting stuff. So that was the first set we did, just a series of packed sketches there. And then we came back to this. This is phase two. Again, more elaborate with some of the shapes and forms and kind of kicking some things out a little bit and just taking some advantage of the things we're dealing with here. And again, just exploring what light does and what surfaces will do. And again, I think, I failed to bring this up, but I think it's really interesting to bring it into play here. The reason I went back to this is that the last few weeks I've been working on this Manticore. It's been a really great challenge. I've really enjoyed putting the process together with Shadow. We've got an interesting attack version. We have an interesting view of it in the hanger. And I think the other thing that's nice about it as well is that the drop ship is coming along nicely. It's been a lot of effort, but I'm really trying to resolve some of the tail sections on that thing. I've got the storage systems down, but I think as far as getting the final format for the actual dropship itself, the shapes are coming along. It looks a lot beefier, so it's been really healthy. And at the same time, I just used this exercise to maybe go back into that Manticore and really kind of finish it all up and get some really good address systems here. So it'd be kind of cool. I don't know, Zando, if you're still there, I've got a couple of the final sketches if you'd like to see them. In terms of, she wasn't beefy. Yeah, you're right. Boy, that was not beefy enough at all. But the last generation was pretty interesting. Let me finish a sketch here of Zandola if you're there. Let me just show you. Hang on a second here. All right, Zandola, I'm going any further here. This is what we had. This is what we did, and there's the attack version of the Manticore right there in a full attack mode. Let me move this over just a bit. Sorry for the deviation in the format here, but since you've just joined us and been kind enough to take the time to be with us here, if you're still there, this is the actual final illustration of the what we call the Quadra. We started out calling it the Quadra Wing, and then it just to see went back into a four-wing system. We call it the Manticore, and again, the upper dihedrals, the whole process behind this thing, the outgrowth of this concept sketches, or the actual motivation, was a dragonfly. Now, we couldn't name it that, but this is what we were after here. So this was if you're there, Zandola, this is what we did. This is the first pass at getting the attack version down, pardon me, the fighter, and in attack mode. And then the second one we did, based on it was really difficult. The reason we went to another sketch here was interesting because we could not really see what the scale of this thing was in terms of this approach. So we decided in the third program, working with Shadow and his stream, that we'd go back and do a hanger version of this thing. And the hanger version began to look like this. So there's the second one we had right there. There she is. That's the hanger variation when she's at speed, or pardon me, at rest, and the hanger variation. And again, notice how you can begin to see here where we took advantage of what the scale was. Here's human scale next to what this vehicle really begins to look like, or the ship looks like. So from that study, we're now working on another process where we get into the idea of having a dropship system where the actual tail gunner system would disappear and everything else would be kind of held in action here, that we kind of work with it. So that's bringing up the speed very quickly on the Manticore series here, Zandola. So hope you're there. Does that help at all? What do you think? I'll just hang on for a minute here. Can see any comment coming back, and we wrap up some of the actual just sketches series here in the stream. So there we are with those two pieces. And let me go back to this guy just for a second here. And we're going to wrap up where we are here today with this process here. So let's do a nice little finished study here, getting a sketch down with a number 7 gray and just using the marker to kind of generate some shapes here. And we'll go back in. A bit of a stilt to this thing. Let's go back into here. Put a little bit of tone to it. Put a little more contour to this thing. A little more impact back in through here. Get the shadow to read. And we'll put a little bit of highlight in this guy and see what we come up with here. So a lot of fun, just really being very generous in terms of shape here. Just gotta go back and get some detail in this guy. And basically, there's another little finished study here, gang. Let's hope that we can kind of look at this thing, kind of with the flower. Yeah, back to the Zen, back to the wings fold down a bit. You use landing gear, weight savings. Yeah, that kind of wraps up where we are here with this studies and these little sketch studies of just sketches. And again, I think the purpose of the stream today was really kind of go back to basics and get some of this materials to work for us here. So I'm just going to bring in a little bit of review here. This is where we are. Started with this as a set of just going through again very simple little thumbnail sketches on just the process work. Again, Canson paper with some 789 Copic marker and the Prismacolor pencil, and just going through some really interesting things in terms of the sketches and putting form down and being very lucid at the same time. Going back to basics sometimes extremely helpful, especially for me. I enjoy going back into processes like this because it really kind of teaches you the lesson by keeping it simple. Don't be over assertive, and take your time to just let the paper come through and work for you here. So that's phase one of this series. And then secondly, there's phase two. Again, just another series of, again, just sketches to get the lucid process back in place and begin to take this back into the Manticore process over sometime next week. And remember, everyone, that Doc teaches, check out his website. Yeah, we do. I do teach a lot of work there. So, again, thank you so much for the time spent here today, guys. It's been really interesting. And again, as I know, especially for you, Zandola, thank you so much for joining me. Give my best regards to Horton, and to you and your family all the very best. It's just been, again, to have you on board. Chip as well. Shadow, thank you for joining me. Jeff, if you're still there, really appreciate the time spent as well. It's been a good exercise here, gang. So I'll pick up the pieces again hopefully next Tuesday. We'll kind of go back maybe into the Manticore, maybe one more process into maybe a bit different subject matter, but we will get it there. But really appreciate it. Chip, thanks so much for joining me again today, and hope all of it is well. And take care of yourself. And really, I always like to sign up. If you have any questions about things you want me to see or want me to draw or work on, please let me know, and drop me a note at my website at my my email address at jim@drcontrast.com. Really interesting to have you on board here to give me some ideas of what you want me to see me do. Hello, how you doing, Silvertail? How's everything? Just wrapping up some things here, just sketches today. Here's plate one we worked on here, Silvertail, and that was it. And then secondly, there's the second pass of sketches, just going through just sketches, looking at ideas and forums and content. I was at lunch. Oh, hey, well, it's good to have you on board anyway, Silvertail. Thanks for taking the time to join in a little bit. But the whole process today was to get into a process where we started working with just some marker, Prismacolor pencil on Canson paper, going back and just refreshing some things with basic sketches, just drawings. And to kind of build the vocabulary form a little bit. So thanks for joining me, even though you're a little bit behind schedule. You finally got the app working on. Hey, very good. So super. Hope you join us in future reference here, Silvertail. It's always good to have you on board. And if you have any questions about things you'd like to have me do or see or finally work on, please drop me a note again at my email address at jim@drcontrast.com. And again, please visit my website at drcontrast.com, where you'll see a series of drawing lessons that have always been really helpful in terms of helping putting pieces together and helping individuals go through some drawing process that might be getting them some difficulty. So again, I much appreciate everybody joining in today. Hope you all have a great Memorial Day holiday weekend. Be safe and careful. Thank you so much for all the time spent here. And I will sign off with this because I think it's the most important part of the whole process. Always remember to never forget that dare to be great, because boy, I tell you what, that's what it's all about. You guys have been terrific, and I really appreciate the time joining me on my streams from day to day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Greatly appreciated. Don't forget to remember to always dare to be great, because you are. Thanks so much, gang. Have a great holidays and take care. All the best. Thank you. Bye-bye now.